All right, welcome to the daily market recap for Monday, September 8th. In this video, we'll be taking a look at the action today of the indexes, liquid leaders, industry ETFs, then end the video with long and short setups like we do with every daily recap. So if you guys enjoyed the video, please leave a like and subscribe to my channel. And if you want my market takes throughout the trading days, along with the live stream at the market open with myself and Ariel, you can sign up for the Discord using the link below. Getting into it, NASDAQ finished the day up at about a 0.5%. Uh, Nice gap up to start the day. We did close kind of lower in the daily range after uppercutting the resistance gap, but still nice move. We're trading over all the key moving averages right near all-time highs. Can't be bearish about that. The S&P 500, very small gap up today. Kind of closed basically right at all-time closing highs, so not at Friday's high, but on a closing basis, right there at all-time highs. Again, can't be bearish when the S&P 500 is doing that. IWO, this is the growth stock for the Russell 2000. Awesome action today. Little bounce off the 5-day moving average. Close right near the high of the day, also up a 0.5%. And then ARKK, gap up after the nice shakeout on Friday under Thursday's low, under the 50-day moving average. Followed it with a gap up today, kind of closed middle part of the range, up 0.9%. And still looks like one of the better charts in the market overall. We've got two higher lows, the shakeout under the 50-day, and really, like, there's two different ways to pull back or to correct after a big move up. You either correct through price action, where you get a sharp pullback and then base out over multiple weeks, or if you just correct through time and just trading sideways for about 7 weeks now. That's what ARKK has done. And that just shows you how strong this market has been overall. And then using IBIT to track Bitcoin, a little bit of weakness today, rejected at the 20-day EMA, closed still above the 5-day. Um, Overall, not a horrible looking chart, kind of just like a breakout retest, but still the failed breakout on August 13th. And then sell off from that point is not ideal action. So let's get over the 50-day moving average, and then we could start to look at Bitcoin a little bit more seriously. Next, we have the liquid leaders, and just doing a side test. We'll sort this by price percent change today. I did put Robinhood back into the leaders list. They got included in the S&P 500 on Friday. We gapped up today, and from the open, basically just took off really, really strong action today on big volume, ending the day up 15.8% and a new closing high. Similar to ARKK, like this had a lot of volatility, but really just went sideways from July 18th until the shakeout last Friday under the 50-day moving average and a couple previous days lows before the S&P 500 inclusion. But basically ideal price action after what is 31 to 120, about a 300%, no, 200% move. Before I sound like an idiot, let's just measure this. Yeah, 300% move. And then very strong close today. So because I wanted to put Robinhood back in, I did have to take out Reddit. I don't think Reddit is doing anything horribly wrong. Today we did uppercut and fail at the resistance gap, had a bearish engulfing candle, closed at the low of the day and at the 5-day moving average. But overall, still above the 20, still above the 10. I still have a position in this, but I could only put 9 stocks on the leaders list. That just shows you how strong the market has been, and I definitely think Robinhood deserves to be on there. ALAB, awesome move today. Really kicking myself for not taking this on Thursday on the HVC, the high volume close retest. Came into the 20-day, into the HVC, basically to the penny, responded to that area, ended that day up 6%, ended Friday up 1%, then just exploded today into new highs, up another 13%. So ALAB, definitely one of the leaders in the semiconductor space. APP, another stock that was included into the S&P 500, finishing the day up 11.6%. Kind of middle of the range close, but obviously a very nice gap up. New all-time highs, and definitely a stock to study because it's rallied from $10 up to $547 in 3 years. Those are the types of stocks that you obviously want to catch, and studying the price action will help you get there. AVGO is next. Nice gap up after what was basically just selling, like profit taking after the earnings gap up on Thursday. Today we gapped up, still closed kind of middle lower part of the range, but up 3.25%. 3.26, excuse me. SoFi up another 1.5% today, higher low off the 10-day moving average and closed well. This looks ready for higher. CLS, a little gap up, closed at the low of the day, still up 0.6%, and another stock that had a new closing high. FUTU, the leading stock in China, a little shakeout of the 10-day moving average in the morning and a previous low, closed right at the 5-day, back above the 10-day, kind of just consolidating after the breakout into new 52-week highs. It is getting close to all-time highs, which is right around $200. So with all the Chinese stocks breaking to the upside and that being a leading theme in the market right now, I assume FUTU will be at new highs very shortly. Google, a little bit of a reversal after making new highs, closed at the low of the day, and honestly deserves some rest after the big move up 9% last week and then some follow through to the upside. As long as this holds that day's low and like the 10-day moving average, which would be catching up, I don't see anything wrong with this stock. And then BE, which has been the best stock in the market, in my opinion, a little bit of a reversal, outside reversal day today, did so on lighter volume, but opened, rallied into new highs, reversed, closed on the low of the day, lost the 5-day moving average and yesterday's low. So if it's time for this to pull back and actually put in like another base, I think that would be perfectly healthy for the stock itself. Um, it's just been really, really clean to the upside lately. So spot that I'm watching for on the pullback is the $51 area, the support gap between the 10 and the 20-day EMAs for just like a quick undercut and rally there. Going into some of the industry ETFs, let me switch this to nightly routine. Sorry, ETFs. My bad. And then go by price percent change today. We don't need to cover all of these. Couple that I wanted to highlight though, IGV software ETF. We've talked about how this is starting to put in the bottom of its base, starting to work on the right side. Today, awesome action, gap up, reclaim of the 50-day moving average, close at highs, and it really looks like this is starting to work its way back to previous highs. So when you have when you have software stocks participating, and then where's cybersecurity stocks participating, the two groups that were like the two growth groups that were lagging over the last like 7 weeks. It just shows you that the market is ready for higher. And cyber, good gap up, already closed over the 50-day moving average on Friday, but a gap up, rally to close at the high of the day, and really not too far away from all-time highs now. KWEB, the Chinese internet ETF, had a great day. Alibaba was the main component of that ETF, was up about 4%. And just once again, let me go to that weekly chart. 3.5 year base. We're right at the top of this breakout point. The move hasn't even started on like Chinese stocks and FUTU, TME, Alibaba, PDD, a couple to watch. Gold miners continues to just rocket higher. And we're starting to see a lot of volume come in here, which is typically a sign that retail people are really pouring in at this point, while institutions are probably selling to them a bit. So it wouldn't surprise me if we did kind of put in a local top here, pull back and rebase, just because we're seeing a lot of volume come in as prices are already pretty extended. Doesn't mean that it has to do that, but I'm definitely not trying to buy new like gold mining stocks up here until we get some consolidation. Uh, Anything else to cover here? Home builders bounced off the support gap, closed at a new yearly high. Solar stocks were a little bit weak today, opened on the high, closed kind of middle of the range, still above the 5-day moving average. Biotech, kind of similar action, gap down, tested the 5-day, closed middle of range. I still have either my largest position or second largest with Tesla in LABU. So still kind of monitoring this. I don't think today's action was horrible by any means, just a test of the 5-day moving average. If we lose the 5-day, then I don't think I would trim this. I still think it's a theme to really focus on, but maybe some consolidation here before another leg higher. Then before we jump into the long setups, I want to go to the post-market movers screen on DeepView and just highlight NBIS, which saying it's only up 41% now after hours, but at one point this was up a ton. There was a news for a partnership, I think it was with Microsoft. I need to look into this a little bit more, but moved from 64 up to $109 after hours, and now pulling back to around $90, up 41% after hours. Some other stocks like within that group, IREN up 9% after hours, CIFR up 8% after hours, GLXY 7.3%, Cores up just about 5%, CRWV up about 5%. So really, really strong action with that partnership, and definitely a stock to put on your radar. It never really gave you an entry point before today. Like we had some shakeouts, closes under the 20-day EMA, and then just a massive explosion. So that's a stock that I'll be watching for tomorrow, even though it's not on my like long setup list. Being up 41%, it doesn't mean it can't go higher tomorrow, but I'm gonna kind of give it some time to prove itself, close well, then build out a flag before I try to trade it. Getting into the long setups, AEHR, actually, let me sort this by dollar volume. So we go most liquid first and then less liquid to the bottom. Tesla, today kind of just punished late buyers. The stock has been putting in higher lows, higher lows, higher lows. But the character of the stock right now is you need to buy on weakness. And if you want to sell into strength and you're a shorter term trader, you need to do that. Not a stock to be buying on strength until we truly break out of this multiple week consolidation. And maybe you would argue that today was the attempt to do that and it failed. But to me, this is just in the stock's character where we get up to the pivot, then we pull back, put in a higher low. And I already have a position in this right around 330.5, right at the 200-day moving average. I'll be looking to add onto that position and really get it to like a core size on another pullback, another higher low pullback into the gap zone low, the 20-day moving average. And then for that piece, I'll manage risk against Thursday's low. But multiple week, we go on a weekly basis, like really just gone sideways for a couple of years after the massive 2019 to 2021 run that it went on. Now getting nice and tight and looks ready after 4 or 5 higher lows to get going here. Hopefully we get one more shakeout so I can really size it up. But if it goes without an add-on, that's still fine with me. Robinhood, we'll just treat this as a high volume close. So a little gap up, retest of the HVC would be buyable. I probably use a 2 or 3% stop on that. If we gap down, then a reclaim of the HVC is buyable versus the low of the day, but definitely a name that I want to work myself back into. Could have bought it today. I wanted to see if this was kind of like a sell the news event because it had been so choppy, and obviously not. This was accumulated right from the start, closed at the high of the day. So really good action here. Now it's back on the radar. ANET surfed the 20-day EMA after pulling back on earnings. After earnings, they were up 17%, pulled back to the 20-day, continued to get supported there. Now just looking for an undercut of the gap zone of the 10-day moving average and the high volume close from earnings. So right around that 137.50 area as an entry. Stop would be the 20-day EMA on that one. OKLO, really nice tightening up here. We have a shakeout of the 50-day moving average. First time it tested the 50-day, undercut that, and basically to the penny, undercut the support gap, immediately responded to that level, closed back over the 50, had a nice rally, then pulled back. Higher low shakeout of the 50-day moving average on Friday. Super tight inside day today. This, I'll just be looking for a break through today's high or Friday's high, and then stop at Friday's low. TEM, a little bit of a reversal today, closing on the low. Very similar to Tesla, this is a stock that has been punishing late buyers, and basically like if you try to buy on strength, it reverses on you. But now after we've made a move like this, put in a higher low on the 20-day and got going a little bit and then just squatted instead of having like a full sell-off day like we saw on the 25th. I actually think this is set up to like gap and go tomorrow. So what I would be using for the entry is just through today's opening price. So basically like a just a redraw of the pivot, right around $81 as a potential entry. And then the stop on this, I would want it to go kind of right away because again, it's been punishing like the late buyers um, basically all throughout this base. But if we are going to get that base breakout, it should like gap up and go right away. And that's what I'm looking for. Just through $81, stop, use the 5 day moving average, keep risk nice and tight. If you're wrong, you're going to be wrong very quickly and get stopped out for a small amount. RGTI, another one that is really putting in a beautiful base, rallied from 74 cents up to $20 back in November and December of last year, and then has spent the rest of this year just consolidating, digesting that move, and then higher lows on the 50 day, higher low on the 50 day, higher low on the 50 day. So that's the character of the stock. It's getting supported at a rising 50-day moving average. Now we've got a couple daily highs right around the same price. Through today's high is buyable with a stop at today's low. Or like if you really didn't believe in the technology and thought that this was a scam, a close under the 50-day moving average would be kind of a break of character here. And then you would have a lower high and then eventually a lower low to trade on the short side. I would rather it kind of prove that it's breaking down and then get in a little bit later because right now it's just continuing to be supported at the 50 day. And it's such a beautiful like weekly base if we switch to the weekly chart. Just a picture perfect weekly base here. So through today's high, let's get the momentum going. Otherwise, a close under the 50 day, and then this might flip to the short watch list. Wolf, WULF, just consolidating after its high volume close. What was this? August 14th, finishing the day up 59.5%, right at the high of the day. Had 2 days where it tried to get going, but basically has been consolidating since then. Just looking for another retest of the high volume close where I could put my stop at the 20-day EMA. PSTG, one of the more exciting setups that I'll be watching for tomorrow. Huge double bottom base, consolidated before the breakout, and then on massive volume, the highest of volume in about 2 years for PSTG, closed up 32% at the high of the day. And since then, has just been going sideways, letting that 5 day EMA catch up. Every time it gaps down, it opens on the low, closes on the high. So someone's coming in and aggressively soaking up any shares on the pullback. And now we have two tight closes over the 5 day moving average, just below that HVC pivot. So looking for strength through the HVC as the entry. Stop would be today's low. Elf Beauty was a monster stock back in 2022, has put in the low back in April, and has already doubled off the low there. Nice double bottom base or like inverse head and shoulders, whatever you want to call this. I love the shakeout to the 200-day moving average after earnings. And then again, kind of bad news on earnings with the gap down. And someone just soaks up all those shares, gets price right back to the pivot, higher low, pushes out, and we're at new rally point highs. Looking for a pullback into the support gap low, the 10-day moving average as our entry. Stop would be 2 or 3% on that one. TME, I've talked about the Chinese theme at length since I've been making these videos. TME, nice gap up on earnings, up 11.8%. From there, just kind of trading sideways, pulling back into the 20-day EMA. Good shakeout on the 2nd, September 2nd. Another good shakeout today for a higher low. Now, just through today's high is the entry. Stop at today's low on that one. IBP, this is in the home building section and one of the leading themes in the market. We've got two gap zones to work with. I'll be watching this first one, the 10-day EMA and support gap, or I guess it's just a gap, 10-day EMA and gap zone right around 270. But I think the better spot to watch, because home builders are just a little extended in the short term, would be the secondary gap and the 20-day EMA in a couple different, like in a couple trading days. So I've got alerts at both of these, but the real setup that I'm watching for to size up is this like 265 gap down here. PGY, software name that has been on my watch list for a while now. Just looking for a test of the 20-day moving average and support gap. That would be also like a breakout retest as well. We might have already gotten that and it just takes off without me, but that's going to be the spot that I'll be watching for PGY. VSAT today, it kind of seems like was the correct buy point. We had a gap down and on the 1 minute candle, tested the HVC, undercut the 20-day moving average, and then immediately responded to those levels, ending the day up 1.4% after it opened down like 4% or so. Now I'm looking for a higher low test of the support gap. So today's low, we got through the HVC, we got through the 20-day moving average. The low is, what is it, 2770? Now I'm looking for a higher low that comes into the support gap right around this 2821 area. METC, very low volume pullback today, closed right at the 5-day moving average. Another name that has shown that any sell off is getting soaked up, and it has the ability to make very, very sharp moves from $6 up to $28. Now just looking for kind of this pivot retest right at $25, little undercut of the gap zone low, the 10-day moving average, round number 25. Reclaim those, and then my stop would be against the 20-day EMA. And then finally, AEHR. Today was probably the buy point. Tested the HBC, immediately responded to that level. Just another pullback into that area, right under $25 is buyable versus the 10-day moving average. Get the stop under the HVC as well. Another name, thinner name, but another name from 6 to 25. It has the power to really change your account. But it does trade a little bit wicky because it's a thinner traded name. So for me, I usually size down on those types of setups. Next, we have some short setups to go over. First is HIMS. And this one triggered today. We were looking for the uppercut and fail of the 50-day moving average, the resistance gap, and round number $50. That all happened today. We ended the day right at 49.67. If we get a gap down, I probably won't chase it to the downside, but what I'm looking for here is a lower high rally. So get back through the resistance gap, get back through $50, get back through the 50-day moving average. And then as sellers come in and we lose the daily VWAP, that would be my entry point, a loss of the daily VWAP. Then my stop would be the high of today. But nice reversal. We have evidence that sellers have stepped in here. Now we can come in and actually place the trade. VRT, one of the weaker semiconductor names in the market. You see like 6 or 7 gap downs. We're below the 50-day moving average. 50 days starting to curl down. Just looking for a weak rally back through the resistance gap. That would align with the 20-day EMA in a day or two. So that 127.70-ish area is the spot to watch for VRT. QBTS, we talked about RGTI. I think IONQ also you can flip a coin on. It looks good on the long side and the short side. We have all that contraction of volatility. So from contraction comes expansion in one direction or the other. Place your bets on which side it breaks. Right now, we're in a very strong market. So I would assume that we're going to break to the upside. But wanted to put this on your radar. Not quite as strong as RGTI lately, putting in some lower highs while RGTI is floating above that rising 50-day. We do have a support gap here that I should decrease a little bit. Just looking for a move through today's low, through the support gap as the entry. Stop would be the 10-day moving average or today's high. Joby, little bounce at the support gap. This got extended to the downside, so now just looking for a rally. The first spot to watch is 14.17. That would be a resistance gap and 10-day EMA uppercut and fail. But I think like the A plus short entry spot would be the 50-day moving average, $15. And this resistance gap, the secondary one higher here, especially again, because we're in a stronger market. I'd rather short as things get a little bit extended to the upside than trying to just like keep hammering like short a stock that's in a downtrend. I want some relief here. Let some like late shorters get squeezed out and then enter as they're all wiped out. NEGG, this was a good short today as it went from red to green, then lost the 5-day, then lost yesterday's low or Friday's low. Still looking for this to rally up to this resistance gap again, right around $50, then manage risk against the 50-day moving average. But it feels like this chart's basically done. It's already had its run from $3 up to 130. We churned there for a couple days, and then once we broke that structure, like at $86, we took out the lows of this consolidation. you have so many people trapped from 86 to $130 that there's just going to be so much selling pressure. And that's why the price action was so linear and so clean on the way down. Eventually, we do get extended, have a bounce back. I do think we'll probably bounce a little bit more, but overall, I think this stock is kind of done. And let me jump to ZEPP because it's very similar structure. Like when we were shorting BMNR and SBET, we were using SBET's chart that kind of topped out earlier and started its downtrend before BMNR did. We can use any GG's chart to kind of mirror what ZEPP is doing and manage our trade there. So on my like smaller account, I did short this today on the uppercut and fail the resistance gap. We did close under the 5-day moving average. We've churned here for about 4 days, right at these highs. So trapping some people. It's not as extended as NEGG was. So I wouldn't be surprised if we gap up and we take out these highs. I get stopped out, and we have like one more big momentum boost before it rolls over. But if this loses like today's low, the 10-day moving average, and you've got 4 trading days right between like 48 and $53 with a ton of volume. Look at the volume that has come in here lately. Lots of volume without price appreciation. Then you have all those people trapped. Again, it's not as clean as NEGG, so I wouldn't be surprised if we get another leg higher first, but structurally it's kind of mimicking it. So hopefully we could take out today's low. I'll add to the short, and then we can just watch it fade. And finally, SUPX, same kind of idea. Big run from $10 up to $70. Eventually pulled back to the 10-day, put in a lower high, and this is really the key for me is we had a great day on September 4th, closing up 40%, and then the next day we gap down, open on the high, close right near the low day, back at the 10-day moving average, down 27%. So right when this looked like nice consolidation and we're ready to rip into new highs, nope, we're just trapping buyers at a higher price. Today we had a nice little up day, up 7%, back to the 5-day moving average. Just looking for a breakthrough today's low as the entry stop would be the 5-day moving average. So that's going to be the daily market recap for Monday, September 8th. If you guys enjoyed the video, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. And if you want to join the Market Pulse Discord with Ariel Hernandez and myself, we do a live stream at the market open. Ariel live streams the entire day. But then I also put in the trades that I take, scans that I use, everything else. So you guys can see the stocks that I'm trading all the time. Enjoy the rest of your night, and I'll see you guys in tomorrow's video.